Good to see you, Chris. A busy time, I imagine. Give us a sense of how close Ben Brereton Diaz is. That's the latest kind of conversation. Reports of a medical we hear. Is that true? What can you tell us?
No, I can't really tell you anything, really. I'm not going to. So, unfortunately, sorry about that. Listen, there's ongoing things, ins and outs, as a majority of clubs are talking about at this part of the year. So, I've got to say, until we get things over the line and announced, I've been part of it in the past where we all come out and say this, that, and the other, and it doesn't work. So, still working on some targets that hopefully will aid us in the second part of the season.
And I know a goalkeeper was something you were keen on. I mean, give us a sense of, obviously various names floating about, but is there anything you can tell us on that front and how that search is going?
I'm assessing all the squad, so it's you guys that come up with the names and the positions. I've got to say, the amount of interviews I've had since I took over, I've never once mentioned anything from position specific, and I've never once mentioned anything from a name point of view. So you guys will obviously make those assessments and assumptions. We've looked at the squad right the way through. It's not going to be a wrecking ball to it. It's not going to be sort of 6, 7, 8 players coming in. There'll be changes, 2 or 3 that give the group a helping hand in the second part of the season, and ones that the only thing that I have talked about is that we have to have players that are going to go straight into the team to make the team better, and hopefully when the window shuts, the group will be stronger than what it was when it started.
And in terms of players going out, I guess that's probably an important part of it. I mean, have you got a sense of the squad now? I mean, you've had about a month in charge to be able to gather who's there. I mean, have you got a greater sense of who you want to keep?
Yeah, of course. I mean, you're always looking. There's always an opportunity to impress. There's always an opportunity not to impress as well. So, we'll take on board. We're all eyes and ears, whether it's a training session, whether it's their body language around the place, whether they want to be part of what's going on, medium and long term as well. So there's always something to play for as a player. Some grab that opportunity, and some don't take that opportunity. And the job is of a coaching staff and a manager is you have to make those decisions pretty quickly. Fortunately, I know quite a lot about the group already, and some, are decisions that you're not always going to get right. But you have to back your experience and back your judgment and go with what you feel is right, and we'll do that.
Great. And in terms of the FA Cup, I mean, you've obviously reached the quarterfinals 3 times now over the last 3 attempts. Are you hoping for a similar thing this year? I mean, what's the club's approach to the competition?
We're full tilt all in. Without a shadow of a doubt, we've not won many games this season, and full respect to Gillingham, and I should imagine quite a few people will expect a home win as well on Saturday afternoon. But we're a Premier League team, and we have to go there, respect the opposition, respect Stephen and the job that he's already done and the mark that he's putting on his team. But I'm expecting us to win. Our supporters are travelling down and expecting us to win. And it is a competition that any competition is an opportunity to impress individually, and in that will play a part in terms of our planning going forward, medium and longer term, not just for the second part of the season, but who has got that mentality wherever we go that we're going to produce a performance that is good enough to go and get a result. And it's really important. Players can't switch it on and off. They can't have a mentality of turning up when they want to. I think one of the qualities that this football club has had over the number of years is it's been a consistent mentality. The team last year were outstanding in terms of their mentality early on in the competition against Wrexham, where everybody was expecting them to get knocked out, and that allowed them the fantastic opportunity of going to play in Tottenham and then going to play Man City in a semi-final. So I'm of the same mindset, and like I said, the record that you just talked about, we want that to continue.
And just finally, obviously fans, as you mentioned, were kind of obviously keen for that success. I mean, do you feel like this is a good period, this January period, or the competition could help the Premier League form going forward?
There's no downside in terms of playing well and winning games of football. Absolutely nothing. There'll be bits and pieces in there that we can do better, but playing well and winning football games breeds confidence. We feel we've got we've had a reaction from a belief point of view, from a confidence point of view, because of the performances. We still think we're light on points in terms of what we should have picked up in a couple of those games that we didn't. But there's no downside for going to Gillingham on a Saturday afternoon and playing really well, and progressing into the next round. And this is the biggest game of the season as far as I'm concerned. And the players understand that. There's been enough messages over the last 48 hours into them to know what that competition and what the game means to me, the coaching staff, the football club, and most importantly the supporters. They want to see a win, and we have to deliver.
That's great. Thanks.
Cheers.
Chris, obviously certain players have played an awful lot of football over Christmas. Will that be reflected perhaps in the matchday squad for Gillingham?
No, they haven't. They haven't played an awful lot. It's just how, that's just the fixture list that comes up. So there's some knocks, Andy, that we will, and I think, everybody has to understand that I can't risk certain players that are struggling just to get a win, because I don't want them to be out for 6 to 8 to 12 weeks. We're still trying to get over the situation regarding injuries and getting to the bottom of it, and adding our ideas into it. You can't go from 0 to 100 mile an hour straight away. So these are subtle changes that the conditioners and the sports scientist guys and the medical guys are putting into place, putting our stamp onto it. But there's still some medium-term injuries and short-term injuries that it's just not worth taking a chance on. I can't, like I said, there's a couple of boys I would love to play. I'm going to play my strongest team, and I love those couple of the players, 2 or 3 of the players that would definitely start, and I'd love to stick them in, but I'm not going to take a risk if that means them being out for 4 to 6 to 8 weeks.
And how much is that led by the changes that you have seen from the sports science department in what you want, the demands you place on the players then? Yeah,
different demands. Everybody has their own structure. Everybody has their own conditioning ideas that they want to, and we're no different. We've had a decent record, over a number of years, and we have to get back to that. There are the unlucky ones, of course there are, but we are, obviously there's been a situation here that we really need to get to, get to the bottom of it, but we have to solve and resolve these situations, because to have 10, 12 players unavailable for selection, some really unfortunate, the Bashams, the Egans and stuff like that, some that have to have a little bit more of a look in a little bit closer to overcome, and hopefully we'll be able to do that.
And just with regard to, I understand the reticence not to go full in on transfers, but are you reasonably confident that the plates you're spinning will happen? Yeah,
some good work being done, and we're close. So I think you understand. I think you all understand the situation that I'm in. What I will say is that we're close. We're close on a couple. We're close on a couple going out, and we're close on a couple coming in, and obviously, the situation that we want to get to is obviously pick up some positive results in January, starting on Saturday, and getting some players back from injury, which I'm sure we will do, and the squad looking a lot stronger when the window shuts in the end of January. And I'm absolutely 100% certain it will do.
Appreciate this is not on Sheffield United or any club for that matter, but you seem to be trying to act quickly to try and get lads in and out, so that you might have 3 weeks of a window to work with these players as opposed to February the 1st.
Yeah, I think the way it all works, Andy, is that there's a lot of talk leading up to the window, and then all of a sudden you have to hit the ground running. But it does take time to get a deal over the line, and not always. I should imagine every manager wants incoming players to be there yesterday, but that isn't the case. I think what we need to make sure is that the players that are coming in really are not squad fillers. They're players that are going to make a difference, and they're the right type from a physicality point of view, from a mentality point of view, and from an ability point of view, that make a difference and help the group for us to be better.
Have calls been made, even if it's ultimately acted on at the end of the window, whether the loan players go back or not?
Yeah, there's been ongoing discussions as well, and I'm sure that in that there'll be changes as well. So the whole squad has been looked at. We need to get the balance right. We've obviously got Reece Norrington-Davies coming back. Max Lowe's out, unfortunately, for a number of weeks. So they're sort of certain situations that we have to deal with, but we have to get the balance right. It's no good having 3 or 4 left backs when we possibly might need a player in a certain position. So in that there will be players that will be departing as well to balance the group up and make that group look a little bit more better in terms of that.
Forgive my ignorance if I've missed that. Max Lowe, what's happened to him?
Yeah, he missed the Man City game, and he pulled up in training. So disappointing for him. He's had a series of injuries now that have not helped him. I think that he was part of the group, and he certainly did well coming off the bench a couple of times as well. So just to lose a player like that is disappointing, and he's had a few issues over a period of months now, which has not been great for him. I think people have to recognise and realise as well that players don't want to be injured, but unfortunately he's part of that big group that there is there at the moment. And there's the likes of Sidney Peck, who's a young player, unfortunately went in for a tackle and had to have a knee operation. So that those, Andy, as you can imagine, and you will understand, they're things that unfortunately you can't get away from, being the competitive aspects of football. But certainly looking back at the soft tissue injuries, it's certainly something, whether it's into recruitment or whether it's into conditioning, that we certainly need to look at a little bit more closely.
Just finally, the easy narrative with regard to FA Cup third round days is the little guy going to the big guys. So when you're the big guy, how do you sell it to your squad? That your standards that you've set and what you expect. I'm not downplaying this game at all. It's going to be a tough game. Full respect to the opponents. We've done just as much as work on them as we did against Manchester City, and the players are under no uncertain terms know that the importance of this game. This is the biggest game of the season for us, and it's up to those players that have the ability to impact the performance and result, to give it their best shot. I think you've worked with me long enough to know what my attitude is like, whether it's a pre-season friendly up at Stocksbridge or Worksop, or away, or a cup tie, or a game where you need to win to get promoted, or playing one of the big boys in the Premier League. You can't turn it on and off, and this will go a long way. And this is not a threat. It's not a. However the player wants to take it, if he's sat in front of me, whether it's a threat, whether it's a warning, this is a big judgment day for me on the mentality of the players, and what they're about and what makes them tick. And if they come through it and they tick all the boxes, then great. And if they don't, then obviously a doubt in my head in terms of a medium to long-term future for the players that don't produce a performance.